Hey, it's Steve from Flowmaster. Today I'm happy to introduce our new Delta Force cold air intake for the 2012 through 2015 Toyota Tacomas equipped with a 4.0 liter V6 motor. Now our Delta Force cold air intakes have a black powder coated heat shield. It's got reinforced silicone couplers, all stainless steel hardware, anodized fittings, and all systems feature an ultra-trick looking durable cross-linked polyethylene intake tube with a nice Flowmaster logo right in the center. Along with the large high-flow conical shaped filter, it's an 8-layer cotton gauze air filter, ensuring that it will trap more dust and dirt particles than your typical 6-layer filter. This is a direct bolt-on to the factory mounting points of the vehicle, and also it's backed up by a lifetime limited warranty, protecting your investment and giving you peace of mind. Now, the tools for the job are basic hand tools can be found in most common toolboxes with no specialty tools required. All Flowmaster products are dyno tuned during the development phases for maximum power gains and efficiency. Now, how about you? I'm ready to get this installed in this Tacoma here. Okay, today we're in the shop. We got a 2014 Toyota Tacoma here. We're gonna get the stock air cleaner assembly out of here and put on the new Delta Force cold air intake. So let's get started. Okay, first we're gonna go ahead and remove the engine cover here. We got these two nuts right here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these. Okay, now it's hinged in the back right here. So we're gonna pick up on the front. Pull it off. Okay, next we're gonna take this whole air cleaner assembly off as one big unit. We're gonna disconnect the sensor first. We're going to remove these two bolts right here. We're going to disconnect this vacuum line. There's another vacuum line right here on the back side we're going to disconnect. And there's two more bolts right here that go into the inner fender well. Then we'll take this out as one unit. Okay, first we're going to disconnect the sensor here. Just going to push down this tab. And then we're going to go ahead and take the wiring harness and just pull it off the stock air cleaner assembly. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and disconnect this vacuum line. There's a little pinch clamp right here. I'm just going to squeeze these together. We're going to go ahead and pull it off. And make sure it comes off the holder here. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and disconnect an 1/8 inch vacuum hose that's on the back side here, attached to the motor. I'm just going to disconnect it from the motor. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove these two bolts. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and remove this little stud right here. This is going to be reused on the new Delta Force cold air intake. Okay, so to get to the two last bolts that are holding this air cleaner assembly on, we have to actually remove and relocate this air pump right here. Now this air pump right here, it's got a bracket underneath it. So you're gonna have to remove the bracket, but first you take the pump off the bracket. Now how this works is underneath, there's these little rubber grommets. You just gotta push up on them and then slide it off the bracket. Now you can see there's those little grommets. Okay, we're gonna move the 3 bolts that hold this factory bracket on. And once we remove these 3 bolts, we're gonna discard this bracket and we're gonna use the new relocation bracket to relocate that pump. Okay, now with the air pump bracket out of the way, we have access to this bolt to go ahead and remove it. And then we're gonna go ahead and remove the other bolt. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and loosen this clamp that goes to the throttle body. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go ahead and remove our whole air box assembly. We got our air pump out of the way now. So we're going to go ahead and wiggle this off the throttle body first. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this hose out of the inner fender well. We'll lift up and we'll pull it out of the fender well. Okay, we got our air cleaner assembly out of the vehicle. We're going to go ahead and remove these 2 Phillips screws that hold the sensor on. Now we're just going to pull straight up. It's got an O-ring on it, so you get to kind of wiggle it. Okay, we got this massive air cleaner assembly out of the vehicle. We're ready to go ahead and start assembling the new Delta Force cold air intake and get it put in the vehicle. So let's get started. Okay, we got our Delta Force cold air intake laid out on the table. We're going to go ahead and start off with the heat shield here. Now we're going to put on the air filter adapter. This is going to go on the inside. We're going to line up the 3 holes. And then we're going to put the Allen bolts. It's going to have a lock washer, a flat washer. I'll go ahead and start these by hand first. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on the heat shield trim. This comes in excess length, so you may need a trim to fit your heat shield. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and put on one of the brackets. We're going to put on this guy right here. Now this has got a bigger hole. This is going to mount to the factory location on the vehicle. And it's got the smaller hole here. This is going to mount to the heat shield. So we're going to put it on the inside first. Then we're going to line up the bolt, put it through the bracket and through the heat shield. On the back side here, we're going to go ahead and put on a flat washer, a lock washer, and then a nut. Snug this up. We're not going to tighten it down yet until it's in the vehicle because we want to have some room for adjustment. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on the second bracket. Now these two brackets here look identical, but if you look at the crease line where it's bent, you can see one's taller than the other one. So if I hold my finger like so you can see this one here is shorter and this one's longer. We're going to go ahead and use the shorter one first. Now it's going to go on the outside of the heat shield. And we're going to go ahead and put an Allen bolt through the bracket and through the heat shield. And on the back side here, we're going to put a flat washer, a lock washer, and then a nut. Okay. So that's what it should look like. All right, we're going to go ahead and put on the third bracket here. We're going to go ahead and put an Allen bolt through the bracket. We're going to go ahead and put on the inside of the heat shield. And then on the back side here, we're going to go ahead and put on a flat washer, and then a lock washer, and then a nut. Now we're going to go ahead and just snug this down. Again, we want to leave it loose to allow for some adjustment. Okay. Now this is how it looks like. It should be on the inside, right underneath the air filter adapter. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put some parts on our intake tube. The first thing we're going to start off with is the stud that's holding on the engine cover that we took off the factory airbox assembly. We're going to go ahead and screw this in right here on top. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on 2 anodized fittings. Make sure you put some Teflon tape on the threads. We're going to start off with a 90-degree elbow. It's going to go on the bottom of where the stud is right here, so down below. So we're going to go ahead and clock it in the right position. Okay, so you can see our logo is right here in the center. We got it going back towards the logo. Now the second anodized fitting, so we're going to go right here, kind of right next to the sensor. And just going to go ahead and tighten this up. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the sensor on. Now before you do that, you're going to go ahead and put on the gasket. And then we got an adapter right here. Now this part should be flush right here. This is what's going to seal against the gasket. Then you got your factory sensor. Now it's got an O-ring on it. You're just going to push it down, make sure it seals. And then the 2 supplied screws. Now you want to make sure you tighten this down evenly. All right. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on the reinforced silicone couplers. So we got this one here. It's got the hump in the center. This is going to go on the end right before the F. We'll go ahead and just snug it up. Now I got this one here. It's a short little sleeve. This is going to go over here by the little anodized fittings. And again, we're going to just go ahead and just snug it up only. All right, next we're going to go ahead and take the intake tube. We're going to go ahead and put it onto the heat shield. And again, we're just going to snug this up. Okay, before we put the Delta Force cold air intake inside the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and relocate the air pump with the relocation bracket here. Okay, before we go ahead and put the relocation bracket in, we're going to go ahead and put this wheel nut in this hole right here. We're just going to press down. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the bracket on. This part here is going to go to the core support, and this is going to go down here to that wheel nut we just pressed in. Okay. Okay, we got a relocation bracket securely mounted down to the vehicle. We have an Allen bolt going through the top of the bracket into the core support with a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. And then down below, we have another Allen bolt going into that well nut we just put in. So now we're ready to go ahead and mount up the air pump. Next, we're going to go ahead and loosen up this clamp. And we're going to pull this hose off. Okay, next we'll go ahead and mount this to the bracket. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconnect the hose. Alright. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt right here. This is going to be one of the factory mounting points for the Delta Force cold air intake. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the Delta Force cold air intake in. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and mount down the heat shield with the factory hardware that we removed. So we'll go ahead and line this one up. Now again, you want those brackets to be loose so you have some adjustment. Okay, the next bolt we're going to use to mount down the heat shield is going to be this factory bolt that came off the stock air pump bracket. Okay, again, we're going to use another air pump bracket bolt that we originally took off. We're going to use that to mount this down. Okay, we got the heat shield securely mounted down to the factory mounting point of the vehicle. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten up the brackets to the heat shield. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on the new vacuum line. Now it may come in excess length, so we need to trim it to fit. So we're going to go ahead and attach it here on the back of the motor. Now we're going to connect it here onto the anodized fitting on the new Delta Force intake tube. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach this breather to the anodized fitting right here. First, we're going to go ahead and take off factory pinch clamp. Then we're going to put on the new supplied clamp. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and reattach the sensor. Just going to plug it right back in. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and tighten down the couplers on the throttle body here and on the heat shield. Also, this is the time to make sure that your intake tube is in the proper location. You want to make sure this stud is sticking straight up, just like this one here, so the engine cover properly fits on. Next, we're going to tighten down this coupler that goes to the heat shield. Again, you want to make sure you press it up against the heat shield. And we'll go ahead and tighten it down. Okay, and we'll tighten down this last clamp here, the intake tube to the throttle body. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the filter on. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on the engine cover. It hinges here in the back, and it's going to drop down onto those two studs. Now, if you don't have your intake tube clocked in the right position, the stud may not line up. Okay. All right, that concludes our installation here on our Delta Force cold air intake for the 2012 through 2015 Toyota Tacomas equipped with a 4.0 V6 motor. Now, installation time on this was about an hour. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our Flowmaster YouTube channel, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.